Hey, I'm Erica.
And I'm Jules. Most people have at least one thing that they can't or won't eat.
Yeah, we're definitely like that.
We started this podcast to talk about the gluten-free food industry.
Like new products and some of the stories behind your favorite brands.
And living life with a specialty diet, and also some important healthcare topics.
Since we're basically both broken inside.
You had me at eat.
Hello, welcome to another episode of You Had Me at Eat. I'm Erica.
I'm Jules.
You've reached us again at a point where I am recovered from the brink of death. For those of you who are not following my social media, as soon as I got done recording last episode's podcast, I went straight to bed and had a fever of 102, had like crazy fever dreams. I tested negative for COVID twice, and appears based on the quickness of the symptoms, I had the flu, and I've been in bed for several days, and it's been a week now, and I finally kind of feel better.
Well, you're alive and kicking.
Crappy week. Yeah. I didn't really eat for a ton and was like literally in bed, like had to crawl to the bathroom to go to the bathroom, and like just like sitting down on the toilet seat hurt. My nerves were like on fire.
That's the worst.
And I'm like, oh yeah, this doesn't feel right.
No.
And then it was just like shaking and shivering under 3 blankets, and Matt had left. And I called him, like, crying, being like, can you come back? And he's like, are you okay? I'm like, no. And I was just, like, dying. I was like, I've never felt like this before. And he's like, what do you need? I'm like, I just need you. And I'm like, I don't know what he's going to do. But we tried to keep separate because I didn't want him to get sick. But, yeah, it was crazy. And just blowing things out of my face that I have not seen in years. The ghosts of boyfriends past or something. I don't know, were in my sinus cavity, but it was nasty. And this is now like the second big sickness I've had since I had COVID in October. And I am just really tired of being sick. And I hate COVID, and I hate everything that has done to my body. And I apparently love germs, and my body's just like, oh my God, all these fresh germs. I haven't seen them in 3 years. And I'm just like getting everything.
Oh, that's the worst. I'm so sorry. So you know what I've been meaning to ask you? I mean, because you were in bed for a week now. I can only assume you have seen like everything that Netflix has to offer. So what did you see that we all need to see on Netflix this week?
So for the first 2 days, I couldn't sleep, and like I was just like awake and miserable. So I watched all the rom-coms. I watched so I love Beautician and the Beast, which is like an old school movie with Fran Drescher. So good. Timothy Dalton's so strange. And
yes, that is
one of my favorite. God, I love that movie. And then I rewatched because I'm like, oh my God, rom-coms feel good. I like this feeling. I feel like I'm dying, but like the rom-coms are giving me energy. So then I watched all of them. I'm like, I will take Notting Hill, and I will take Sleepless in Seattle. I watched all of them, and I was just, and then I realized that like
the Wayback Machine.
All of them. And then I started watching Netflix. I'm like, oh, the Great British Baking Show has their professional series. And I watched the entire season. It was horrible. I hated every single episode. And I just kept thinking maybe this is going to get better. And then I reached the end and I'm like, no, I just really didn't like this show at all.
You gave it a shot though.
I did. And then I watched a bunch of murder mystery. Like every time Matt would come in, I would be trying to fall asleep and there would be true crime in the background. He's like, that seems normal. Just falling asleep to murders. So I watched probably 8 hours straight of Forensic Files, which is my favorite. And then I fell asleep to like a couple different murder, true crime things called My Lover, My Killer.
Oh, geez.
Some of them are pretty good. Some of them were just not great. But yeah, I watched a lot of like true crime.
So the takeaway here is like
rom-coms.
there's nothing new that you've seen that you would recommend.
No, but true crime, I love it all the time. So for me, I was just like, this puts my mind at ease.
Having lived in that world of true crime as a
but
prosecutor,
you lived in real true crime.
Yeah, I don't like watching that stuff because I either watch it and I'm like, okay, that's just completely fabricated. It doesn't actually work that way, or that's just too much. I don't want to see that anymore because I've lived it. So no, I don't watch that stuff for fun.
Yeah, I haven't. So there's also an amazing show on, which is actually really fascinating. You might find it fascinating, called Web of Death on Hulu.
No, I don't think I'm going to find that fascinating.
No. So it's about these people.
Sound like fun to me.
It's these people that the Doe Network. So it's like a network for missing people, and like people who like to solve true crimes go on there, just like average daily people
that is
try to solve true crimes. And so it's just like these really incredible stories about like these unsolved murders and like missing women and people that have just like average people off the street. Like this woman in Arkansas that's like, this is my hobby. I go in there and she like finds like missing people and reunite them with like Jane Doe's and like connect it. And there was this one that like found this missing person from like 1950s and reunited it with her grandmother or her granddaughter. So like now she can visit her grave, and it's just like really touching. So that was really good. So that's what I watched. Okay. But also I had a really high fever for me, and I never have fevers. So at some point,
so maybe you didn't actually watch any of these. You just imagined that you watched these. These are like dreams that you had that really felt very real, but you were actually asleep the entire time.
So another thing about me being sick that is not great is I tend to order things online.
Oh my God.
So last time I had surgery and I was on a bunch of Vicodin, I ordered a bunch of things off Sue Lily, and we called it like my Vicodin spending spree. So this time,
do tell. What did you order this time in your fever dreams?
So yesterday I got 2 packages.
Oh my God. Did you even remember ordering any of these things?
I'm like, I thought that I did, but it was like one of those.
Merry Christmas. I don't know what's in this package.
One of them is a skateboard cat scratcher. Oh, so like it's a whole skateboard, but it's all made with the cat scratcher cardboard. Even the wheels are cardboard.
Oh, for your cats to scratch.
Yes.
Not for you to like use on your back or something like that.
No, sorry.
Because that could have gone either way.
Skateboard.
You see where I'm
that's made out of the cat scratching material.
Scratch your back cardboard. Okay, got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then
your cats are digging it?
Yes. And then I also ordered another cat scratcher. This one is like a giant tangerine, like the size. It's like a very large size. It's larger than a basketball. It's larger than whatever is larger than a basketball. I don't know.
Larger than a bread box?
Larger than a bread box. Mm-hmm. And it's a tangerine, and it's made out of the sizzle rope, so the cats can scratch it.
Right.
But it can turn, so the cats scratch it, and it's just like a fun little wheel. And my big tomcat, the 17-pounder, has taken to it, and he's now become very aggressive about it. So he's like lays on it all the time. And if the kitten tries to get it, he's like super aggro about it. But I was like, they came in the packages, and I'm like, I remember looking at this and being like, oh my God, that's so cute. But I'm just like, did I order this? And the skateboard came, and I'm just like, I remember I like this. I'm like, what a cute idea. Because I'm sure I saw it on Instagram. And then I was like, oh, I must have ordered it. And then the second box came, and I'm like, oh. Okay.
Erica, you actually might still get more packages.
I should probably look at my like Amazon order and just see if there's anything else.
Yeah.
I don't know. So that was weird.
It's a little scary.
So that's the thing that I do when I'm in bed sick. Other than that, I guess we're all winners because my cats are very grateful for the new scratch toys. So
yeah. Okay.
And that's like, why? And I'm like, you should ask me 48 hours ago.
Yeah.
So,
well, yeah, I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thanks, Jules.
I do have to say that you're back in the land of the living. We're all glad you're feeling better again.
Yeah,
exactly. Yes. Although you missed out on Mardi Gras. I mean, I'm so sorry about that.
I'm so sorry.
I made beignets in your absence. I ate all the beignets for you. So
thank you.
I had to take one for the team. So They were very good.
And as a follow-up to our last episode, we had asked, we had put up a poll up on Twitter for GIs because we were very concerned about the shape and the structure of king cake plastic babies.
Yes.
And we're wondering, I had speculated that perhaps there was a rise in incidence of king cake baby related emergency department / GI retrievals of these small babies that maybe got lodged in the esophagus or your duodenum, I said. So I put a poll out there and, I had 2 responses, and one of them was like, no, I have never heard of that. And the other one's like, you know what? No, I haven't, but I've also retrieved a lot of other weird things from bodies. And I'm like, ooh, I definitely need to hear more about that story. But I really think that it's an underreported instance, and just I think it's probably something that we should investigate further. And we have an entire year to put out a thesis about how many babies we think. Perhaps it's something that we can talk to emergency departments about. I
heard from some readers who have, been enjoying king cakes all their lives and also been making them gluten-free. And a lot of people don't use the babies because, they don't have access to bins of babies like you were describing in the last episode. And so other people use various other things. A lot of people use, pecans or pecans or however other people pronounce them. How do you pronounce them?
Pecan.
Okay. That's fair. And so, people use other things, nuts
Someone said a bean.
And a bean, other things like that. So there are other things that would, I think, cut down on the incidence of baby lodgings because a lot of people don't actually use the babies anymore. So it might be a less known problem than you're speculating now, which is good. We don't want people to have the baby problem in their duodenum.
No, so good though. I haven't been to that cake store in a while.
Yeah.
But next time I go, I'm definitely going to take a picture of the bins of babies because it's just it's alarming.
Yeah. Well, send me some because, I can't just walk in any cake store around here and get babies. They don't, participate in the phenomenon in Maryland like they do other places.
Do you have a cake decorating store near you?
Mm-mm. I am not so lucky.
Well,
I know, right? You have to celebrate those things when you find them.
I do. Oh my God. I love having that access to that. It's pretty great.
But I know.
So tell me about your recent Instagram that you put out.
So, okay. I love doing those things because it educates me and it educates other people because I'm always interested to hear what other people, find enlightening. Like when I put up the sushi one, people were like, whoa, sushi row has gluten in it. Most people, were mind blown.
That was shocking for a lot of people.
It was very shocking for a lot of people. But so we went out for Thai food last night, and we rarely go out to eat. Since the pandemic, we started trying to help our favorite restaurants stay in business by getting takeout more often because we hardly ever eat out or get takeout. But if we ever do, it's basically to get Thai food or sushi or sometimes Indian. That's it. Like we don't do any other food. And I just find that ethnic food is easier for getting gluten-free food for me. That just seems to be an easier thing. So a lot of people are surprised by that. And I think it depends on where you live, like whether you have access to good ethnic food choices.
Yeah.
But I mean,
big cities tend to have access, or if you're in like a Chinatown, or if you have a predominantly like halal or Indian area where you can access like authentic food.
Sure. But I mean, you're starting out with a cuisine that's largely like, rice is going to be the base for a lot of those dishes, or rice noodles, or things like that. And then you just have to worry about the sauces. Like, do they add anything to the sauces? And then you're not talking about Chinese food where a lot of the sauces are soy sauce based.
That's a no-go. I've really found like 3 in all of the US that are like super good.
Yeah. So we just gravitate to Thai food always. And so we were out for Thai food last night. Love it. And so I posted about this restaurant, and about, you got to make sure you're still asking all the questions, right? And, which sauce is which and all that kind of stuff. But I said, do you like to eat Thai food, for gluten-free, or did you know that was a good, safe option? And I'm always surprised with it. People are like, no, I didn't know I could eat, Thai food. That was a good, safe option. So that's always interesting to me. But that being said, I have found some pretty strange stuff when you ask questions at some of these restaurants. Like, did you know that at some Thai food restaurants, I have asked, and they have thickened their curry with just regular white bread. They just like, crunch. And first of all, like, okay, I'm leaving. Like, you guys clearly don't know what you're doing. That's gross. But
it's not traditional.
It's not traditional
whatsoever.
It's not traditional. But you have to ask all the questions at all the restaurants always. Like, just like you have to read all the labels every time, no matter whether you've been buying this particular product, every time. You have to always read the labels. You have to always ask the questions. And curry is usually something that's safe, but you still have to ask the questions. And one of these times I was at this restaurant and like, no, we thicken the curry with white bread. I'm like, I'm out of here. I'm absolutely out of here. Like, jaw dropping.
Yeah.
Because curries are usually pretty safe, but not in this particular restaurant. So it's not an across the board, you're always safe at every Thai restaurant with every dish. No, but generally, yes, you're pretty safe because they don't use a lot of soy sauce in a lot of things. But like the picture that I put up first last night, these fresh rolls, I love fresh rolls. It's basically salad all wrapped up, in a rice paper kind of thing. But the sauces, I need the gluten-free sauce, not the regular sauce that comes with it. And at first, even last night, this restaurant that we go to, when we go out, I said, I need the gluten-free sauce. And we had a different waiter and he brought it to me and I'm like, that's not the right color. I said, this is a gluten-free sauce. He says, I said, is it really the gluten-free sauce? And he said, let me go double check. And he came back, he goes, whoa, that's not the gluten-free sauce, which I knew it wasn't. But what if that was the first time I'd ever eaten at that restaurant?
Yeah.
And you have to ask the questions always. And, you just have to make sure you've crossed all the T's, right? So,
yeah, we have a couple chains here that, Thai food chains, which are actually really interesting.
That is very interesting.
And it's called Thai Chili to Go, and they have everything marked gluten-free or vegan on their menu, and they have so many locations in Arizona. It's amazing, and it's really easy just to get gluten-free Thai food there, and it's great. And they introduced like a gluten-free, oddly enough, chicken nugget, and I think that they were like trying to do it in a dedicated fryer. It was really interesting that we have those options, and then we have several like mom and pop Thai food places, and they've always been super good about their menus. So I honestly, I don't know if I've ever been to a Thai food place without traveling that doesn't already have like gluten-free on their menu or labeling. So that just assures me, and I've talked to the people of all these places, and I really like, people dog on Arizona, which is very easy to dog on Arizona. I get it. Like, I feel very safe here. We have so many options. This is like a really, really great place to live if you're gluten-free. Yeah. And so it's hard for me to be like, oh, do you want to move somewhere? I'm like, well, I first have to evaluate like how safely I can get all my things that I normally get. We get Thai food on DoorDash all the time, and it's just so easy for us. So
that is really easy. And we live in a big town. Like, I mean, the farther you get away from a big metropolitan area, it's much more difficult, which is why, even like sushi, I find easy, but like you're in the middle of the country, sushi is not always that easy to find, good sushi.
Yeah. Yeah.
But again, really you still have to ask all the questions, which is why, I put that post up recently with, okay, this is what you do when you're going to a sushi restaurant. Don't get this, or this.
I used to travel a lot to the Midwest for the magazine. Yeah. And so I'd always be in like Columbus and Indianapolis and Kentucky and all these places where I'm like, okay, this is like middle America, even though honestly, they're very big cities in middle America. And I struggled. And I'm just like, I cannot imagine if you're in a small town what you do and overall, just not even access to ethnic food and safe food and chains of Thai food, whatever. But like, my God, it really is just like it is a huge struggle. And when I went to Florida, which is, I mean, that's a whole nother nation for what I'm concerned. In the middle of nowhere, Florida, when I was sick with COVID, there was like nothing. There's like a Chipotle. And I'm like, oh my God, is that really your access to gluten-free food?
Yeah. And I got sick of Chipotle once.
I mean, it's pretty easy to get sick of Chipotle.
Yeah.
So it's just it's such a shame. And it is so strange to me, people that don't have the access that I have to safe food, that I'm just like, what do you do? And now I get it when people are like, we just cook for every meal.
Well, and that's what we do. I mean, but when you travel, like you and I are getting ready to do for the next 2 weeks, it's hard. You know, it really can be hard to navigate that. But like, literally, you can't just not eat for 2 weeks. So you know, it's gonna be challenging, but you know, we've figured it out, like, for the most part.
Yeah,
luckily,
but
there's
also
a lot.
like, this is what we do. Like, you know, like, we've done this before. If you're like, girlfriend, you're going to spend 7 days in anywhere besides Columbus, Ohio, because that's like the one thing where I know I can find safe places to eat, because I've been there for forever. If you were just like going to put me in like Nebraska, I'd be like, oh, I'm going to have a panic attack. And like, I can travel anywhere and I'm fine. But like, if you're like, dude, you're going to Nebraska for 7 days, I'm like, well, that's interesting. I mean, I have to do some digging.
I would be baking my classic muffins that I travel with every time, and living off of them. I mean, I love those muffins, because I bake them and I eat them for 5 days straight. Like, just muffin for breakfast, muffin for snack, muffin for lunch.
We're doing that for Chicago, to where we're going to take some, we have this raspberry lemon quick bread that we're going to make. So that way we can at least have like some sort of like breakfast. But I mean, it's also Chicago. I know that we're going to eat everywhere. But the issue is that obviously I'm going to be on the show floor and in a conference all day. So, but yeah, I mean, it's just, it's really hard. And it's weird to me when people are like, I don't have access to ethnic foods, or they've never tasted ethnic foods in their life.
That's more like it, especially in middle America, as people are like, Thai food, what?
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, I get it. I mean, it's just not what you're raised with.
But like, American food, I'm sorry, like an American food restaurant, it's very difficult with classic American food to get safe gluten-free food there, because it's all fried food and, you know, a lot of breaded stuff and a lot of bread. And it's just
Cracker Barrel and Olive Garden. Yeah. My old life. Olive Garden, for sure.
Like all of that stuff. I mean, it's and croutons on everything, and there's flour in the air, and it's just, I'm like, that's a hard pass for me. I'm not going to those restaurants. And I don't care that, you know, some of them have gluten-free menus and that kind of stuff now. Like, sorry, I don't think most of you guys know what you're doing, and I don't trust your gluten-free menu anyway. So, you know, gluten-free menu does not indicate safety to me. I start out with a restaurant that already doesn't have flour in the air. Or at
least you know that they have options. Or it's not just going to be like removing things. Yeah, it's a huge struggle, and obviously, access to safe food is a huge issue within the gluten-free community, and that is incredibly so off topic. But you're right. So let's talk about. I want to share with you my recent disappointment in life.
Oh, you mean above and beyond being sick for the last 7 days?
Beyond my immune system. So I had shared, as I do, pictures of new products as soon as they are like talked about.
Oh, this one. Yes.
And I'm always really excited. And I try not to be like skeptical of a lot of new product launches from brands that I love. Because I love certain brands. I'm like, okay, you can do no wrong. Just launch something. I'm so excited. And recently Katz has had some success. So yes, I'm talking about Katz. They've launched,
for our listeners, Katz is Katz, not like the cats that Erica talks about all the time.
No. My cats are not bakers.
No. The opposable thumb thing is useful in baking.
So they launched some like a cinnamon roll and like a cheese, like not a cheese Danish, a coffee Danish or whatever. They've launched a million products. Their R&D team is like, woo, what do we do? What do we do? Their donuts are my favorite donuts ever. In fact, I just had some for breakfast. But
you mean in a pre-packaged motif?
Yes.
Thank you.
Of course.
Because we're not going back on that topic.
No more, no cake donuts, no whatever. Can't talk about that. I went on a very long rant about it last time. So anyway, so I like their donuts. I like a lot of their stuff. But they said that they were going to launch toaster pastries. And I love toaster pastries done right. And I get them from Annie Mae Sweet Cafe in Kentucky. Shout out to her. She's incredible. It's like the only saving grace in Louisville besides, obviously, Matt's family and the Kentucky Wildcats, Big Blue Nation. But her bakery is fantastic, and she's known for her toaster treats. And I get them shipped to my house, which is very expensive from Louisville, Kentucky to Arizona, but worth it.
I'll bake you
they're
some.
incredible.
I'm cheaper.
Also expensive to go from Baltimore to Arizona. None of these are close. But Katz recently launched toaster pastries, right? And so everyone is losing their mind, as they should, because anytime you have a new product that we've been asking for, there have been several toaster pastries launched, but without the icing on them. So, and they failed, right? So they've launched and then they failed and they went away, and then now we don't have access to them. Right. So when Katz decided to launch these toaster pastries, people were understandably excited. So what did I do? I ordered a metric shit ton of them and had them shipped overnight to my house. So I got ready to film them, and I'm so excited. And I opened up one of the silver foil packaging, and I'm like, and the toaster pastries were split. So a toaster pastry is two items sandwiched together, right, with jelly on the inside or whatever is on the inside. So these were split either on the side, up top. Like, I feel like this is the church and these are the people, and look inside in here, whatever that thing is. Anyway. Yeah. So the toaster pastries were split on the side, or open up top, or open on the other side, or open on the bottom. I opened up 2 boxes, some of which the foil seals were open. And I'm like, okay, new product. Interesting. Wonder if something got jostled around shipping. Fine. When I opened up the second box of the different flavor and it was all the same, I'm like, ooh, boy, this is not good. So I filmed an Instagram reel and I'm like, this is not good. Because I realized if 2 boxes are like, if 1 box is like this, I'm like, okay, whatever, let's try another one. So I had that second box. I'm like, this is not good. It's a different flavor. It's a different box. Like, this just means that R&D wasn't done well enough. And it's such a bummer because I probably influenced people to buy a lot of them. And now they're all getting them and they're sending me pictures and they're like, oh my God. And it wasn't just me. So I hate that.
It's kind of like the Udi's thing. Once you open that can of worms and everyone's like, oh, look at my picture of these horrible Udi's loaves with a big, huge hole in the middle of them. And everyone's like,
and that's like a production thing. And that's a production thing that like has been going on for years.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, oh my God. Udi's like how many years now? Like 15 years or something like that. Udi's had this problem.
Has pooped the bed for 10 years. Yeah. It's horrible.
It is. It's terrible. And they are like, oh yeah, we're gonna fix that. No, you're actually not gonna fix that because you.
And like all bread has had all mass production bread has had whole issues, from Bread Seriously to Cannon Bakehouse to Char. I mean, all the 3 that I support, right? They've all had that, and they're like, that was their bad batch. I'm so sorry. We inspect, but like we didn't see that. Obviously, we'll refund. We'll get you a new batch. Easy peasy. And it happened like once, right?
No.
Udi's is like, let's do it for 15 years and see if anyone notices. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I hate it because R&D, I know, spends just years researching and developing these products and testing for shipping. And these were just not tested. You can absolutely tell if this has happened to everyone. Clearly, this was not tested enough to know that this is just not going to happen. It's not an appropriate product.
Yeah.
So not only did people let me know that, like, obviously things were open. And so thus, like, you put them in a slot toaster and they pop up and it's just like the 2 sides are just like popping up in different directions.
Oh dear.
And so I'm like, okay, well, I guess I could use a toaster oven. Cool. But then some of them were just like, they're just like off, right? You open the bags and the 2 sides were just like off the middle. And then people were messaging me with this, like, they were half gone and just like totally crumbled, or all of the seals were open. All of the foil seals were open in their bag. And it's like, so it wasn't just
safe,
like
right?
It's just like an R&D issue across the board. And people are losing it online, which they should. They just ordered a new product. And I feel very bad that I was so excited. I mean, why? I don't feel bad that I was so excited about it, because I always give people the benefit of the doubt that they're doing their background research and R&D on making a product work, especially in shipping.
Of course.
Like if they're like, okay, well, they're all sealed when they leave the factory. I'm like, great. Did you try shipping it to someone else?
Right.
Did you try this whole process? Like, that's what R&D is about.
Well, and right
Clearly,
now you can
you're
only
not
buy
doing
them from their website. So it's all about shipping.
Yes. So like, that is what R&D is. They do those processes, and clearly it wasn't.
Right.
So I just like am opening my messages to like people who are sending me photos, and I'm just like, ugh, that's not good. And finally they got back to me with just a message that says, oops, sad face, please email us. We're determined to make it right for the gluten-free community. I'm like, oh, after my video got how many views?
I love the music.
My sad. I know. I'm gonna silence that because it's just too much. But so someone, see my story, open one, all broken and cracked. At least another one is broken inside. Someone says, I'm seeing this all over Instagram tonight. And someone says, how is it taste? I'm like, it's good, but that's not the point. Like, if it's not going to be a toaster pastry and I can't just like pop it in the toaster, pop it in the toaster oven, having it be together, then that's not going to be a problem. So packages on mine, both boxes were open. So I'm like, oh, maybe it's the glue. Maybe they weren't testing the glue enough or whatever. But then they're like, no, the actual foils were opened. They were never sealed. And I'm like, well, that's also not good.
No.
So, mine are like, oh, they're on their way. I ordered 2 boxes. I'm so disappointed, and said mine were all split in half. And then mine all came completely broken, looking like someone broke in and ate them all. And then said the actual toaster pastry was open.
So basically, like, you're just hearing the same story from everybody. It's not like yours is just a one-off, which is really unfortunate because, I mean, manufacturers get super excited after all the R&D that they do and should do. And apparently, have been working on this, I'm sure, for a while. I'm sure that they were very excited for this product release. And it's very unfortunate that this was such a wah-wah when they released it. But they need to hear this from people, because otherwise, how are they going to know that this is not a successful release? And I'm sure they're going to try to make it right for the consumers who made the purchases. But I don't know what else.
Someone sent me this photo.
I can't see that. What does it say? Okay. Yeah, that's nice.
Like, it looks like a bear ravaged through that package. Like, it's not great. It's not great.
I mean, but here's the problem. I mean, the product itself is unsuccessful because the product is not holding together as it should. But if the package itself, the foil container that that the toaster pastry came in is not sealed, like that's a safety issue.
Safety violation.
And that can't happen. And the way that these are packaged, they're supposed to have a shelf life on them that is all contingent upon them having
it being sealed,
the seal. And so, I don't even know how many they may have made and what their, shelf life claims are, but I'm sure it's not like 3 days. So, this is going to be a mess for them to have to figure this out.
Yeah. And it's really frustrating because like, I want to talk about things and get people excited about them, but I don't want to have to like go through the process and R&D things myself before I can say, hey, you should buy this. I should be just as excited as everyone else and post about something to be excited. And then I just feel so guilty when it's horrible. And then I feel terrible because all these people follow me and they're like, yes, I'm going to buy this. But I'm just also a consumer too. And like, it bums me out.
Yeah, but I mean,
it makes me disappointed for me.
I know.
But also make me disappointed for everyone else. It just makes me really sad. Yeah.
Well, I'm very sorry about that. But I think, unfortunately or fortunately, your role as a person of influence is probably to take a step back and to, as we normally do, to test the products first and then get excited about it. So sorry.
I know. I'm so sorry that I'm very excitable.
I know. You are very
I've
excitable.
been doing this for so long. I'm so excitable about new things.
But
like,
normally,
I just can't wait for new products.
These companies are sending you things and then you don't go out and buy them first. So this doesn't happen that often. But anyway, the funniest part about that whole story, and then we can move on, but was when I first saw your reel, I thought your cat had gotten into it. That's what I thought happened to it, because it was like, what happened to that? And normally that's what happens to, it
was like a
disappointing
bear.
Food.
I will tell you though that she did enjoy the leftovers.
There you go. Mm-hmm.
She there's a video of my cat Pigeon attempting to eat what was left of a toaster pastry.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She loves carbs.
There you go.
What can I say?
Yeah. Well, she tested it.
Just like her mama.
Well, I will also tell you that there is hope, because honestly, it's not hard to make homemade gluten-free toaster pastries. I've been doing it for years. My recipe is online. Actually, if you remember at the shows we used to do for the magazine, I have made them and product demonstrations and cooking demonstrations at the shows, various places around the country, and showed people just how easy it is to make them. And the fun part about it is that the recipe makes a ton of them, and you can freeze them and then just pull one out of the freezer and pop it in your toaster, and they hold together. Isn't that amazing?
Shocking.
Novel idea. I know, right?
Shocking.
I know. So we'll put the recipe up on the liner notes for everybody.
Absolutely.
I promise it's actually a very easy recipe. And then you can put whatever filling in the middle that you want to. So if you like strawberry, or if you like apple butter or chocolate or whatever you want, and you can put icing on it or not. But I have the recipes for all of those, and it's super easy. So you don't have to rely upon a company to let you down if you don't want to. You can do it yourself.
I've
make
been
yummy
burned.
ones. I know. It's easy. I promise you guys it's easy.
Yeah.
It's very easy. So,
yeah.
And then on to a product that I do really like. And I know, Erica, you're going to like this one too. It's made by who? I know. I love this chocolate company.
Just the best. So she's holding up the Chocolate Covered Hunks, which is basically their cashew line of dipped cashews. I mean, anything that who makes with chocolate is just superior.
They're just amazing. So the principle behind this company is that, there's just nothing bad in it, and you think, oh, it's just chocolate or whatever. No, people, this is not just
there's
chocolate.
So many things. And,
they just do a great job. Obviously it's gluten-free, right? But it's also, there's no dairy ingredients. So Erica and I do a little happy dance, and they sent us samples years ago when they first came out, and they're like, this is next level chocolate. And we're like, yeah, whatever. No, it really is. It's fair trade. It's gluten-free certified, non-GMO, all that happy stuff. But it's also paleo certified, keto, vegan. But the nice thing about their chocolates is that they have this tagline that says no shiny glaze. And there's a lot of the chocolates that you get do have this kind of a glaze on them. And they have this whole big saying about, you don't know what's in that glaze, and, you should Google it because it's kind of gross. They don't put that glaze on any of their chocolates. It just is what it is.
Delicious chocolate.
Yeah. And this one, and I have this thing about chocolate and sea salt. I just think it's hard to beat that combination. And they just do such a good job with that. Oh, and so
they have their sea salt bars.
I know.
Oh, Jules.
I know.
So good.
Well, but so this particular one that we finished off last night, and I would have gone face first into another bag if we had it, was Chocolate Covered Hunks, cashews, and vanilla bean, which that combination was
so good.
Delightful. So I would highly recommend that to anybody who is looking for something yummy like that. No sugar alcohols, no cane sugar.
Yes, thank God. No sugar alcohols.
None of that.
I am so tired of chocolate companies with their sugar alcohols. And I'm just like, you're going to make people poop with the amount of chocolate that they're going to eat. And Q is just, even their no sugar added has dates, right? A date sweetener.
Right.
And their bars, their
so good.
Their cashew butter bars are just over the top. And I was at fancy food and I was by the booth and I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. Jules, you want to take some? I'm like, I will take as much as possible because it's pretty expensive. I mean, you're paying for a really superior product.
Right.
But I will tell you that, I'll show you the video. This is their no added sugar chocolate chips that sweetens with date. And then in the background is their snacking chips, which is basically just literally what it is. It's you open a bag and you eat their chocolate chips, but they have a snacking chips and mint that is so good. And I do not like mint chocolate. The only mint thing that I've liked is that mint Oreo.
Wow.
But this mint chocolate is so good. And then they have a salty snacking gems. Changed my life, changed my baking. I bake chocolate chips with their salty chocolate chips.
Chocolate chip cookies?
Chocolate chip cookies with their
I bet
salty
that would be amazing.
gems. They're called gems, snacking gems. And I'm like, I know that you're just supposed to snack on these, but I make the most delicious like sea salt chocolate chip cookies in them. And they're salty and they're sweet and they're so good. Like anything Who makes is just great. Except for, oddly enough, I do not like their crackers. So they make a line of like grain-free crackers, and it's a divergent, obviously, with their SKUs of all their crackers. But and they've had a restaurant, right? A paleo restaurant. That's what it all came from. But like, my God, their salty gems, chef's kiss, just so good. Like all their stuff that they do is just incredible.
Love that stuff. So
buy their products. It is worth the money.
It's very, very good. Yeah. Well, I mean, when you talk about like something like that and you say it's expensive, and we've talked about this in the show before, like you're paying for fair trade certified, right? You're paying for vegan, paleo, keto, gluten-free certified,
organic dates and all that. You're paying for
that. Those things come at a cost, and you're paying for quality ingredients, and you can taste it. Like there is a difference. I mean, there just really is.
I would never, ever think about snacking on a Hershey's bar. Never, ever. Like when I could eat dairy, I'm just like, that's just not quality. It's junk chocolate.
Yeah.
It just doesn't taste good. Like, I don't care about all the ingredients. Like, tell me something's bad for me. I don't care about that.
Yeah, because you do eat Oreos.
Quality of chocolate. I mean, I want something that tastes incredible. And that Q chocolate is just like far superior to any other chocolate I've had. Yeah. And like, yes, I bake with Enjoy Life Foods because it's gluten-free and dairy-free, right? And I bake with Pasha too. It's a little bit higher on the quality range.
Well, it's organic.
Q chocolate, I think, is far superior, but it's also far more expensive. But that's okay because you're buying it for what you want it for, you know? Like that's the only chocolate that I'm like, oh, this is snackable. Like those gems, there's a reason, you know, why they're snackable.
Yeah. So good.
So good.
Okay. So now I'm hungry. So I think we should go.
Yeah, I know, right?
So I can go have some lunch.
And I've got to get ready. Housewares is coming up next week. So just so you know, Jules and I are going to be walking the trade show floor. So pay attention to our social media channels, at Celiac and the Beast and at gfJules.
Yeah.
Is that what you are on Instagram?
Yeah. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like type in Jules and I see you. I just want to make sure.
Yeah.
What is your name again? I don't know. I lost all my brain cells the last week in bed.
Sure.
Maybe I bought things. I don't know.
Maybe I bought something. Scratch.
It's been a week.
Yes, it has.
Obviously, good times. I've edited. I will. By the time you see this, dear listeners, I've edited out all the snot-filled breaks that I took.
Yeah, I had to see it.
You didn't actually see it. You just saw me blowing my nose. I took a picture of how gross one of the snot was because I was so impressed with it.
No.
And I will keep that on my phone. So I look at it and I'm like, oh, good job, body. Good job doing some things, expelling this out of my sinus cavities. But I'm gross like that.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
So we'll be walking the houseware show floor.
We will find the latest and greatest cooking
and we'll be,
utensils, pots and pans and accessories and all kinds of tabletop appliances. Can't wait to tell you all about them.
So many things. So
Yes.
pay attention to the drop of the next week's show where we'll be talking a little bit about housewares, and then we go directly to Expo West. So we will be busy, busy ladies.
Exhausted, but we're doing it for you.
I'm pre-exhausted.
I am too.
So
that's all right. That's okay. It's all right. I'm feeling it. It's all good.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in for another episode of You Had Me Eat. Remember to like and subscribe. Tell your mom about us if she's cool.
And your best
if
friend.
If not, then don't worry about it. Just tell your friends.
Absolutely. See you next week.